So section number 1, you start off over here on the setup page. And on the setup page, you're going to want to, it tells you where to go to get this information. So as I hover over this, on the overhead per day, you want to enter in your overhead per day, and you're going to get that from your profit pricer on MP12 tab. Your input will be on the total overhead cost line under the installation department. Okay? Okay? In the installation department. All right? And then this here is where you'll put in your starting commission. This is the starting commission for a salesperson can earn. This percentage will be included in on line 11 of your break-even tab, of your break-even cost and selling price tab of the profit pricer. So in other words, on line 11, it asks for net profit. You should also add these two numbers together. And then a sliding scale. I'll go over the sliding scale here. I recommend a 2% sliding scale when I'm at an 8. If I'm at a 10, I'll probably go to a 2.5 sliding scale. Depends on where you're at. You'll see what happens on that when we get over to the job costing side of this, where you see the sliding scale come in. And so now we're going to jump over here into the quick job pricing calculator. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just move this up so we see the whole screen here. All right. So what you'll do is you'll first determine how many days is this job going to take. Okay, is it a full day? Is it a 2 days? Is it 5 days? Is it a day and a half? Whatever it is. Okay, you put in your 8% commission and your 25% net profit that you want to charge. So right now your selling price with all of this, with 8% commission, 25% net profit, is $4,100.40 without any cost right now. So this is covering all of your overhead, $1,833.48, okay, and your labor burden of $763.79, and putting the sales commission in here for you. Your break even is going to be $27.47. And then your net profit on that, 25%, is $1,025.10. Now, over here, we have it set up pretty generically, and you don't have to get too anal on this, but if you want to, you can. But right now, just material and equipment. Let's say the material and equipment on an install job is going to be $2,200, right? And I'm not going to have a subcontractor, but I'm going to have a permit of, let's say, $100. Okay. And I'm going to finance the job. So the bank charges me a financing fee. So I want to build that financing fee into my price. So if the bank charges me a financing fee, let's say they charge me, I'm going with a 60 months same as cash type deal here. So they're going to charge me a 18% financing fee. Okay. So that's going to build this thing up to $9,186.88. Now I have that 60 month same as cash financing cost included in this because I need to build that in. It's a cost that I have, but I owe that money back to them. I owe them 18%. So in other words, if I sold it without that financing, if I sold it for cash, that would be my price. But I always say, build your financing in it. Okay, and offer payments when you're selling equipment. Don't be laying down $1,000 bombs like $9,100 when you can lay down 60 divided into that, $150, right? So anyways, that's just $150 a month. So that's where I'm at with that. Anyway, that's a whole nother program. Sorry to get off on that. So anyways, any other things you might have in here, just go ahead and put them in. And if you want to, I believe you can. Well, you can't. But you could if you came up here and you went to review and you want to unprotect. It's 1121. And then you could put anything you wanted into here. Okay? So if you want to type it over. But I protected it just so the formulas don't get messed up. 1121 will unlock it. All right? So there's a job. All right, so now we're done with how we price a job. Pretty easy. Let me take it a step further. If it's a 2-day job, okay, it's a 2-day job. You're going to add 2 days worth of overhead, 2 days worth of labor, right? So I'm going to go back to the 1-day job here. All right, so from there, we'll cut this and we'll go straight to job costing. On the job costing piece, you know what the job sold for, because your salesman is going to print this off and it's going to go in the job folder. So we're going to know it's for Mrs. Jones and customer's salesman's name is Jim. So this goes in job folder. So when that job comes back from your installer, okay, you're going to go to the job costing because you want to job cost it the very next day. So come over here. Forgot what the number was already. So 9186.88 would be on this form. So I put in 9186.88 on this form, and the bank financing cost. Remember the bank financing cost. It'll be on this piece of paper because you're going to have it printed out. It was 18%, so I'm going to put in 18%, and that's the financing cost that I owe the bank. And here's what I earned out of it. Now it's a full day, so I put in a full day. All right, so that should be giving me 25% net profit, but it's giving me 55 here. How come? Because I don't have the $2,200 in material cost. Remember, I got to cost this out. So now I got to put in what my true material cost was. Right now I'm going to make it exactly what we said it was going to be, but then show you what it's going to look like if it's not that way. So that gives you your 25% net profit, right? And this section over here, we'll get into that later, but this is for your commission payout. This is showing you how the job was broken down. And this is your entries for your job costing piece, all right? So if you put in 2 days to complete this job, let's say the cost came in, but we bid it for 1, but it took us 2. Probably never happened to you, happened to me. So what happens here? All right, it took 2 days, so now it's going to charge 2 days worth of overhead. And I'm at $39.66 for 2 days overhead. It's going to give me 2 days of labor. Got the same cost, well that broke my profit down to 11.5%, and that just killed the commissions over here. All right, so that's the piece for plugging that in. Now, so let's say, for instance, that this job came in at $2,500 in equipment. Well, that's going to drop my profit down to 21% because I ran $300 over on this job. And if I have this sheet of paper, knowing how I bid it, and now seeing how it comes in, I will be able to tell that this is where the problem was, the material. Okay? So that's how you can tell. It's going to show you what you're short on this, and you have to go back and figure out where it is. This is an easy one. So it's $2,200 going in. You got $2,500 in cost after the fact. Okay? Now, some of you guys may be paying your technicians a flat rate price for doing a job. Like we call it piece rate. Okay? So let's say for this job they were going to earn $450. Well, we would put that in there and it will default to that. And it'll take out what we put in the setup tab over here per day. Okay? So you can see that now the labor burden is this amount, $450. So it'll override. If you're paying piece work, it'll override the formulas. Designed it to override it. So if you're not doing piece work, then it's going to charge the job the $763 $79 that came from your profit pricer, okay? And that's what we're going to charge the job. All right. Let's do another scenario here. Let's say you have one job today and you have 2 crews. In your profit pricer, you go to MP0 in your profit pricer and it shows that you have 2 crews. Well, every crew is responsible for so many sold days in a month. So just because you're short of work and you think by throwing 2 crews over there, everything's going to be good for the day, it's not, because you have to charge this job 2 crews now. And now you're really short. You lost 15% because you have to take a whole nother day. This is like taking 2 days on a job. You have 2 crews for 1 day. That equals to 2 days. Even though you got done on 1 calendar day, you had 2 crews in there. So can't do that and think that you're covering a day, because that crew has overhead that it's supposed to be covering. Now, let's use a different scenario. In our definition, a crew is a lead and a helper. You know that in the profit pricer, we put the helper's cost into the overhead section just for the purpose of pricing for that cost. Okay? So if you have another helper, you need to understand what you're paying him in the day, and you just come down here and put under miscellaneous or type it over. Well, if you can type this one over either, I probably protected that. No, you can type that one over. Okay? So you can type in helper here if that's what you want it to be, and let's say you pay him $150 for the day. You'll put that helper cost in here if you have an additional helper on that call. Okay? So I wanted to explain the doubling up on crews and why you have to charge 2 days if you doubled up on crews, because both crews are burdened with delivering overhead dollars for the day. However, if you take the helper, you can just use the direct cost of that helper, because he's not burdened with covering any overhead for the day. That's the primary reason. Actually, that's the only reason. That's why it's primary, I guess, right? All right. What other things can I help you out here with? I think this is pretty much it. So then you go ahead and put in the customer's name and the salesman's name, and you print this off and you give it to your salesman, and you'd say, and let's just jump over here into the salesman's part right now. This is structured with an 8% commission, 6, 4, 2. And that came from the setup page. I put a 2% sliding scale in here. So it starts at 8. All right? And it actually reads from here because this is coming from the setup page. So it's reading from here, and then this is going to be reduced by the sliding scale. If you look up here on the formula, it's going to be reduced 2 points each time. So in this structure, if he makes us 25% net profit, which is what our desired net profit was over here, okay? If he delivers us 25% net profit, we're going to pay an 8% commission, and that's going to be $602.66. However, we overran the cost on this job by $150 because we threw a helper out there. And it's undetermined yet whether the salesman missed needing an extra helper or we just decided to throw an extra helper out there. Either way, on the first time around, I'm not going to ding my salesman. However, this shows this job missed the 25% profit by $150, which was the cost of this helper. So in theory, I need to bring the company back to 25% net profit, and then I'll still pay what's left on the 8%. So right now, he'll make the greater amount of this column, and right now the greater amount is this, $452.66. Okay? because that salesman was going to make 602.66, but because the job ran over and we determined that it was his fault for the job running over, then he has to pay the company back, and he gets the greater amount of these commissions here. Now, so far, he's going to get the extra buck, or the extra 67 cents, it looks like. Okay. Now, if this was going to come in and it was a $200 cost, then he would get paid this amount, because we did agree that we would pay him, and this should be a 17.5. Nobody messing with my salad there. Okay, there we go. 17.5. So we're going to pay him 6% when it gets to 17.5. So that's going to be, and the job came in at a 22.3% profit, so it's above the 17.5, so he's going to earn the $451.99, or 6%. Now, let's say the job, make it higher than that, 2,800. Okay, let's say the job missed the 17 mark, because now we only made 14, because the equipment cost more than he bid, and the labor, the miscellaneous cost more than he bid. So that's going to drop him now down to this commission structure. However, after saying all that, I'm going to tell you, don't do that. Only do that if you find this habitual person, salesperson, that is pricing jobs on purpose underneath where they need to be. Because there's other reasons why these indicators are here. These indicators are here as just that, a variance. So we have to research, why was this $200 plugged into this job? Well, I needed a place for Bill to go. Well, could I send him home? You know, that could be a management decision. And maybe you need to talk to your manager about watching your labor. Okay, so let's just say he sent him home. Or he sent him somewhere else to be productive. Okay, but not on that job. And then maybe you, the owner, didn't update your price books, or maybe your manufacturer didn't give you the update on pricing, and this equipment now costs $2,800 instead of $22. Are you really going to ding your salesman $600 for something that's totally out of his control? I don't think so. So I'm going to pay him this amount. I'm going to pay him the $602. So I don't want you to look at this as a salesman's dinging tool. It's not designed to be a salesman's dinging tool unless you have the habitual salesman that's constantly trying to cut things. You know, you're lowballing it, giving stuff away. Well, you just can't do that. But it'll show up, okay? Because you'll see a bunch of red on all of his jobs. But you have to have a conversation. You have to dig in and find out why this went to 28. Maybe you just have to call your supplier up and say, hey, listen, you overbilled me. Yep, sure did. Okay. Now everything's back to normal. Okay? So those are some, I was trying to give you some real life scenarios in that explanation of things.